Ciao, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Bella Vita, where we hope to provide resources, tips, opportunities, and most of all, inspiration for you to discover and create your Bella Vita, your beautiful life. So today, we have a special guest. We are on location here in St. Augustine at beautiful Butler Beach, and I'm here with the amazing Terran McGinnis. And I think that you will be absolutely inspired, empowered, and just absolutely love her story and love her. I went to a presentation that she did back in, I think it was in January or February, on the Right Whale Project. And I just knew that she would be an inspiration for you. She is just totally a beautiful soul who has created her Bella Vita, and she's going to give us some inspiration and some tools and share with us how she did that. So Terran, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy we finally made it to this point. And so I would love it if you would start out by telling us what you do now, what you're involved in, the different projects. And then maybe we could take a look back at the little girl Terran and see if there's a thread of things that you did as a little girl, things that you were interested in that have brought you to where you are today. Because I think sometimes those dreams are already in our heart as children. So take it away. We can't wait to hear.
I could not agree with you more. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I feel like now at this phase of my life, I can look back and sort of say, man, if every person had the freedom that I had to take the things that little girl Terran was fascinated by and not get distracted and just stay on that path, they would be such happy 50-year-olds. So I'm so happy to get to tell this story. So anyway, now I'm the facility historian and the manager of community development at Marineland, just down the road. And really, mostly what that means is that I do all of our off-site outreach education. So I do education about the oceans, about marine animals, about marine science, about conservation, about marine land, to anybody who wants to learn and anywhere where they want to learn. So sometimes it's here on the beach. Mm-hmm. I do great beach walk programs in partnership with County Parks and Recreation. Okay. I do boat trips, kayak trips, sailboat trips in partnership with organizations. And it's a great way to bring marine science and the love of the oceans to people who maybe aren't going to come to Marineland. Either it's too far away or they think zoos and aquariums aren't for them for any number of reasons. I love to be able to bring the show on the road and really show people that no matter who they are, no matter where they are, and no matter how they like to learn, and most importantly, no matter how they like to find inspiration to do something for the planet, I'm there for them. So it's a great career for me because it means that no 2 days are ever the same, right? I'm going to different locations, meeting with different kinds of folks, people who of different ages, of different backgrounds, of different interests, of different education levels. So my life gets to be very diverse and my days are never a repeat. And I always get to talk about the things that matter most to me. And I get to meet amazing people like you who see the love behind it. I feel like the best compliment I could ever get is somebody who says, wow, I can see you really love what you do and you really believe in what you're talking about. We were talking earlier about how I'm terrible if you hand me a script. I'm not good at reading somebody else's words, but man, give me freedom to talk about what I love and I can go and go and go.
And you do an amazing job of that. It's so powerful. Thanks. It's beautiful and it's inspiring. And I feel like just by giving expression to who you are and what you have in that beautiful, amazing heart of yours, that you set people free to do that too.
I hope so. And the thing is, when you're talking about, I mean, this is sort of common knowledge, when you're talking about things that you love and that you are knowledgeable about, it's easy, right? I mean, it's only hard to talk or to teach when you don't really know what you're talking about. But man, this is my thing, you know. And
this is your Bella Vita.
Right. So Anyway, so it was great to meet you at the right whale talk that I gave. You know, like you were so excited to find out that we've got the world's most endangered whale is swimming right down our coast every winter. And so give us a few months and a few dozen degrees of temperature drop, and we'll have them right here again. And
amazing.
It's such a fun subject to talk about. It's fun to watch people get excited. So anyway, little girl Terran would be so happy to see that I didn't veer off course. You know, that little girl who, you know, I never had dolls. I always had stuffed animals. You know, I always loved animals more than people. And I had the best science teachers in the world. I mean, that was really a real, I think, defining thing that set me on the course, is that I, unlike a lot of girls, fell in love with science early and stuck with that. It never occurred to me to be passionate about anything other than science. And that was really impactful, a good science teacher. And then a family and also schools who were really all about getting us outdoors, you know, and going camping and going tide pooling. I grew up in California, and so we would go hiking in the Sierras, you know, and go tide pooling along the Pacific coast. And so I think I really I set the path for my future just by being honest with myself about what triggered sparkle in me and what didn't. You know?
Can you say that again? That is so powerful.
What triggered sparkle in me.
Right, and that you gave, what did you say, you gave voice to?
And gave myself the freedom to really just follow that, you know, and to not be veered off course by any expectations to have a more traditional job or lead a more traditional life, but to really pay attention to what brought me joy. And it has not steered me wrong.
That is a key point in creating your Bella Vita right there.
Yeah.
Terran is bringing us some wisdom today. Please continue.
So, I mean, you know, it's cool to talk about. My particular passion is conservation and the planet and animals. But if your particular passion is cars and knowing how to drive cars well, or to build safe cars, or to make cars environmentally friendly, do that, right? It doesn't all have to be as, you know, tree hugging and ocean loving as my thing. That's just who I am. But I just think, you know, sticking to what we love means we'll always be great at it. You know, it comes naturally, and you'll never not want to do it. So, you know, I'm really grateful about that. And for me, I think you know me as an ocean lover, but it's a little bit broader than that. My love is absolutely for anything outdoors. Put me in the mountains, and that's really where I'm happiest. You know, even more than in the waves. The mountains and the forest is what brings me joy. And all animals, any animals. I just feel like more and more wildlife, plants and animals need voices for them, because it's becoming a harder and harder planet for them to live in. So people who know enough and care enough to just do little things to make even their own backyard safer, or their own neighborhood, let alone the whole country or the whole world. Every one person who's doing something is making a difference, and you get more than one, and it really can build a movement. So that's always been my passion, and that's really become stronger for me, I think, in the last maybe 5 or 10 years as an educator, is trying to focus on, when I teach, when I talk to people, not asking them to make giant life choices, because the reality is very few people can do that, but making sure that everybody leaves one of my classes, one of my boat trips, one of my beach walks, with just one simple little thing that they can change about the way they're living their life. And maybe they only change it one day a week, right? Maybe the other days they got to go back to their old school because it's just easier for a busy life. But just little behavior changes. And I would love to believe that anything that I said to anybody maybe inspired somebody to live a little bit more lightly on the planet. Because I think if we all just step a little bit more lightly, maybe this planet can hang in there.
And I think that comes through in how you know, just in how you do educate, how you do present things. I just found that during the right whale presentation that, as we were talking earlier, I was so interested that even if you had presented a boring presentation, I would have been all in. But I was so captivated by a just your passion, your passion for life, and your love of what you do, and your love of the planet and of the right whale, and then you presented hope, because the plight of the right whale is quite what would
Scary.
severe,
Yeah.
But you presented that, you presented the information, you presented those daunting facts with numbers, but then you brought hope and a plan to change it, and some information about how people getting involved even in sighting projects, volunteering to just during that time look for the right whales and report them where their location, how that has actually saved some. And then how you celebrated how the shipping companies and the people who care about the cetaceans, and particularly the right whales, were able to come together to the table and create a workable solution for both. And that's what we really need. We even need that paradigm of problem resolution. And so I was like, oh my goodness, this lady is such a beautiful soul. I have to share her with other people. And I know you have a wide audience, and I'm so grateful to bring you to my audience.
Well, it's so kind of you to say all that. And I never know, I don't get to have these kinds of follow-up conversations with most of the people that I speak to, right? So I never really know how people receive the information. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that that's how you picked up on the hope and the action plan, mm-hmm. and that there was a real reason to believe that we could make a difference. Because I will confess to you that while all of that is absolutely intentional, a lot of it is also kind of selfish, because since this is what I do for a living, talking to people about conservation, if all I was doing was talking about the bad news, I would break my heart every day, and I have to live with myself. I have to live inside this brain, right? So it is for my own survival that I've got to come up with the positive, this positive spin on any story, and the sense of, wait, we broke this, so we can fix this, and here's how. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad it comes through that way, because honestly, the initial motivation for that is just, all right, how am I going to sleep tonight, right?
Right.
Hearing my own voice in my head, if all I'm hearing is negative, it's not going to go well for me.
Well, and that's, I think that's why you are in the arena that you are,
Thanks.
because you're able to bring that message of hope. So, and I appreciate the fact that you talked about maybe someone else's Bella Vita is different. It's not the mountains, it's not the oceans, it's cars, it's gardening.
Whatever,
it could be whatever. So what are you talked about being honest and true to yourself, to what your bliss is or your joy. If there is someone out there that's maybe they're thinking, oh my goodness, maybe I should pay attention to that, what I feel in my heart, that bliss. Maybe I should pay attention. Maybe I should follow that. But they don't know where the start button is, or how to deal with, sometimes when we set on a course, that's when the obstacles come up. What would you say to them on how to navigate some of those? Maybe the obstacles are just our own thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I am certainly not an expert on this, just because I feel like I made it work for me. I don't know that I am an expert for somebody else, but I will say nobody's life is 100% perfect, right? Despite what you see on their social media or whatever. So maybe what lights you up is your family, right? And so all the extra stuff, maybe your job is not something you're passionate about, but it provides the support that your family needs, or it provides you with the schedule that allows you to be home for your family, or whatever it is. So if you're comparing yourself to somebody like me who's really happy with my work, and you're sitting watching this thinking, I'm not really happy with my work, be careful of what you're comparing, because if work was never the thing that brought you sparkle, it was the kids that you come home to, or the home that you built, or the pets that you love, or the spouse that you can't wait to grow old with, the job doesn't matter. It's just the thing that gives you that opportunity. So I think the first thing is, when you're doing that soul searching to figure out what matters, be clear on the fact that there will be other things around you that don't matter as much, and you don't have to worry about them as much. You don't have to expect them to be perfect. They're just the structure. They're just the peripheral stuff, right? I don't have kids, and so that wasn't my guiding light. I wanted to be able to have this kind of a job and this kind of a life, and travel and see all these parts of the world that I care about. But if I compare myself to other people whose entire joy is their children and their family, I would look at that and be heartbroken, right? And think I've failed completely. So I think that would be my first piece of advice would be, make sure you're not trying to compare yourself to somebody whose goals weren't the same as you anyway.
That's
right?
beautiful. That's perfect. Yes.
And then also realize that in order to get where you want to be, not every day is going to be perfect, and the surrounding details may be tricky. If you know what your dream job is, and you know it's going to make you happy, but you also know it's not going to make you a lot of money, then let go of caring about what kind of house you live in or what kind of car you drive, because otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're never going to make those dreams come true. So I guess I would say that, just zoom in on what brings you joy. And if it's, I need a life that allows me to walk on the beach every morning, because without this to center myself, nothing else matters, then find a routine, find a job, find a place to live that allows you to walk on the beach every day. I think we make it too complicated. And I also think we try too hard to fit into a mold that, society and the rest of the world tells us we're supposed to.
I agree.
Yeah.
I so much, I try to share that with young people too, who feel so pressed to fit in. You weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to be amazing.
Yes.
You were meant to bring your unique gifts.
And isn't it heartbreaking to think of somebody who has amazing, unique gifts who never let them shine because they were too busy trying to fit into a mold, and they never realized it, or it was late in life, and all those years they could have been their awesome self. Yeah.
Exactly. I have always loved sailing.
Good for you.
But I am 75 and just now learning what happened here. So it's so I tell people when I meet them, I say, don't wait till you're 75, okay? Because it's a little harder. It's a little bit more difficult, but still do it, certainly do it. But I totally agree. And my life has been enriched with so many beautiful people and beautiful experiences, not without difficulty, for sure. But I just love seeing the uniqueness of different people that I meet, and just their unique way of being amazing.
I think that is your superpower, right? That's the thing that makes you sparkle, is that in every person you meet, you're not trying to make them fit into what you want people to be. You're excited to learn.
I want to discover
who they
are.
Right.
Yeah.
And not everybody does that,
I do. It really is, as one of my sons would say, it's your jam, Mom. I do, and I love to see the triumph, the beauty of the triumph of the human spirit in things. And I just think the more we open our eyes and our heart to the beauty around us, life becomes more beautiful,
Yeah.
and that the focus becomes more on the beauty than on, like, say, the tricky things in life.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that, you know, that my phone got waterlogged, or you know, just these different things. There's there's really always a solution.
Yeah.
So to just kind of relax into it, and so this has just been so amazing. So a couple of the things. Tell me about your beach walk.
Yeah. So
How can people get involved in that?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So my role at Marineland again is to bring a love of the oceans to our local community, right? We have amazing educators on site at Marineland doing education programs for people who come there.
Mhm.
My job is to get those people who aren't coming there. So, so that's why I do all these off-site programs. And I also really love to do partnership programs, which means finding other sort of like-minded organizations, because
Mhm.
this area, because it's so rich with natural beauty, has a lot of other folks doing great environmental education programming, because there's so many things here to teach about and to get people to fall in love with.
Yeah.
So partnering with those organizations means that we double our audience, right? And we can bring all of our different expertise together to create great programs. So I usually come in as the marine mammal expert or the ocean expert. So with St.
Okay.
Johns County Parks and Recreation, I've partnered with them to do these beach walks. And so I'm coming in as the guest speaker. So for those programs, anybody can sign up, and they're free, which is amazing. But you do need to have a reservation. And if you go to the website for St. Johns County Parks and Rec, I'm doing one this Friday actually up in Volano Beach, and where we'll be talking about dolphins, learning about dolphins, hopefully seeing dolphins. And it's in the evening, so it ends with a beautiful sunset view of St.
So
Augustine.
it's this Friday?
This Friday, July 26th.
What time?
7:30 to 8:30 at
I
Volano
wanna
Beach.
come.
Yeah, it's great. So that's one of my programs. It's a
Okay.
partnership with St. Johns County Parks and Recreation.
Mhm.
I do another program with the Schooner Freedom, which is a beautiful big sailboat that docks in downtown St. Augustine.
Mhm.
And once a month I come on board. We do a program called Fins in Freedom, where I'm on board talking about all the wildlife that we'll see and marine conservation, and we look for dolphins. We almost always see them.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful sailboat. So again, we get to see, kind of cruise along the intracoastal, see downtown St. Augustine, go up to Porpoise Point, see the Volano Bridge. We see dolphins and manatees and sea turtles and sharks and birds, and we meet the coolest people. So any way that I can bring a love of the oceans to anybody who wants it, and in any location. So I love being outside and teaching outside, but I also do a lot of programs at libraries and at schools and at community centers. So there's very little I say no to. I love
It's
to
great
talk.
that you're so versatile. Yeah, I know the right whale talk was at
An art gallery.
An art gallery. I was like, oh, okay, that looks festive. I think I'll do that. I think I want to do the fins and what is it?
Fins and Freedom is a program, and it's on the
Yeah.
Schooner Freedom
Yeah.
sailboat.
Yeah. So that's just fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm just all in.
Good.
So we might, my wonderful videographer Kathy, we might have to do some more adventures. So, oh my goodness. So also, I think that I think you received an award for being part of an organization. Can you
So
tell us a little bit about, I know you're very grounded and everything, but still it's quite an honor, and I'd love to hear what you're involved
Well,
with there.
I think the one you're talking about, there's an organization called the Alliance of Marine Mammal Parks and Aquariums, which is an international organization, and it's a standard-setting organization. So if you are a zoo or an aquarium anywhere in the world and you have marine mammals, so seals or sea lions or whales or dolphins, polar bears, sea otters, manatees, if you are adhering to very high standards, not just of animal care, but certainly that as well, but also education, you can get accredited by this organization, and they will come and they will do inspections. You have to do a whole application, and it's difficult to become a member of this organization. But if you are, it really says something to your audience if they're at all concerned about, are those animals being well cared for? Are these folks doing right by the animals? Membership in this organization is sort of a across the board resounding yes. These are good folks. So anyway, this organization, among the many things they do, they are very supportive of education at zoos and aquariums. And so I have been for 16 years the chair of the education committee, which means my job is to mentor and train and support educators who are teaching about marine mammals. And so I think this award you were talking about was a sort of a service award, because I've been doing it for a long time. And it's really become one of my greatest passions is to support educators. Because I gotta say, it's a very special field. You're not quite a school teacher, so you don't get that, legitimacy of being a formal school teacher. You work at a zoo or an aquarium, but you're not a dolphin trainer, so you're not, the cool girl who's walking around in your bathing suit. You're somewhere in between, and sometimes you fade into the background, right? In fact, really, if you're doing your job well, you fade into the background. The job is to put the animals front and center, but somebody needs to celebrate those educators because they're doing amazing work, and they are so passionate. So I get to make sure those educators are seen and celebrated, and that's what this was about.
Well, that's wonderful. And the thing is I was just thinking if I was young and I was going to follow that direction to become an educator in that fashion, which to me would have been very exciting to do and very rewarding, I would have to say you would be my favorite mentor. Because you have that natural ability, the way you communicate. Even I watched that just that Facebook Live of you doing the tour on the Freedom Schooner, and I heard myself saying, listen to Terran, how she is describing this to the people. You were talking about how the tendency is to look out there for the dolphins, but because the dolphins have a particular way they like to feed and they're going to be near the seawall, I was like, listen to her all by myself. because you have such a great, just a spontaneous, just a very authentic, unusual, unique way of just bringing the knowledge in such a way that people connect, not just with the information, but they connect with the animals. They connect with the ocean. They connect with the importance in a way that's not, you're not chastising someone for, dropping that straw or something. You're just educating people in a very free and enjoyable way, which to me is perfect. So.
The ocean's going to take us away.
Here comes the tide, yeah.
I have to credit that. My very first job in this field was actually not at a zoo or aquarium. I was a park ranger. I was a park ranger in Yosemite National Park.
Wow.
And I mean, if ever there was a place where there's amazing things to talk about and to get people excited about, but it's a national park. I can't promise anybody that we are going to turn the corner and see a coyote or a bear or I don't know. So you've got to get good at getting people excited, even if you have nothing to show them. So it really puts the weight of that on your ability to talk about exciting things and to get people just happy to be outdoors. And I think that's, I don't know, I'm not looking at the ocean, but maybe 100 dolphins just jump behind me and maybe 0 dolphins. Either way, we're at the beach and it's awesome.
Exactly.
And that's, I think, what I've always sort of tried is, I don't want people to think that animals are here for us, for our entertainment. I just want people to feel joyful that we get to live on the same planet that these animals do. When we see them, oh my gosh, what a gift. But even when we don't, it's still a gift knowing they're there,
It is.
And I think I have finally realized after 30 years of doing this, so I'm kind of a slow learner, but I'm finally realizing that what's really going to get somebody to behave in a way that is conservation minded and is going to be good for the planet isn't necessarily having all the facts. It's just loving this planet. And so I've sort of changed my goals every time I go out and teach. I just want people to reconnect, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's why I've stopped being really heavy-handed with all the conservation information. And I used to be that way 100%, but I think I've realized that's not what's going to change anybody's mind. It's just a day on the water, a day at the beach, a day in the woods makes you go, oh man, I just remembered when you unplug and disconnect and recharge by being in nature, that will be what will fuel your desire to behave a little differently. So
that is so true. Yeah, it absolutely is true. And that's why I love sharing people's stories, because I just feel there's power. I shouldn't say I feel, I know there is power in people's stories, and there is power in the uniqueness of how people present whatever they present, whatever that sparkle is that they are engaged with, is very powerful. And so, I hope, beautiful souls, that as you've listened today, that you have found inspiration, that you have maybe been inspired. Maybe you're already living your Bella Vita. Maybe you should be my next interview. But maybe you've never really thought about what brings that sparkle to your life, or maybe that dream that was in your heart, maybe you just stayed too busy to honor it. So I hope that you have found some inspiration, and I think that Terran has given some really good practical insights too, to how to navigate that. And do you have any final thoughts, things that maybe you still would like to share?
well, so you were just talking about what makes everybody sparkle, and I wanted to bring back a subject that we were talking about before off camera. I work at an aquarium that has dolphins, and that's not for everybody, right? Not everybody is comfortable with that, with zoos and aquariums in general, or specifically with cetaceans in our care. And I am absolutely not looking to change anybody's mind about that. What I will say is that because we all find our passion and our inspiration and our sparkle and our love in different ways, everybody who's trying to protect this planet, and everybody who's trying to do some kind of education to get the rest of the population to do more, to know more, to care more, is awesome. And some of us are doing that in very academic ways. So if you're somebody who finds your inspiration by knowing the facts and by really understanding, then read the books and watch the documentaries and go to the lectures, absolutely. And if you're somebody who finds your inspiration and your love and your sparkle by being in nature, then go surfing, go swimming, go hiking, go on a whale watching trip, absolutely. And if you're somebody who finds your love and your joy and your inspiration by having a personal connection with a plant or an animal or an environment, that's where zoos and aquariums shine, right? For those people who see dolphins out there, but it doesn't affect them, it doesn't inspire them until they've had an up-close interaction with the dolphin and fallen in love, and everybody does, and realized, oh, that animal that I just cuddled with, that I just helped take care of, that I just played with, that I just spent some real quality time with, that's the same species that's out there. So now when I hear about issues with marine debris, with plastics, now I have an individual who I know, who I love, and the thought of them hurting because they've been entangled or because they've ingested something, that breaks my heart. That's the role that zoos and aquariums play. So while I have no problem with people who don't love zoos and aquariums, I really do think that all of us working together in our own unique ways are as one big group going to be what saves this planet and saves these animals. And I'm happy to just play my little part in this little piece of the pie to reach that particular audience.
That's beautiful. It's
Thanks.
beautiful and it's true.
Thanks.
It's the good, the true, and the beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yes, and you also are helping in another way, and I do want to bring that up. So I'm going to put some links also in the description box for some things. But I want to hear about your special little family at your house and how that came to be, and how people can maybe connect with your wish list and connect
Yeah.
in their
Well,
own
thanks.
ways.
So now I'm going to switch hats. This is my crazy cat lady hat I'm putting on. So sort of in line with what I was just saying, some people really need to have an animal that they fall in love with personally before they can sort of expand and start really caring about that animal in the wild. I've always been somebody who had pet cats, and I love cats, and you know, that's great. And when that really connected to protecting wild animals for me was my husband and I just recently built a home in this area, and the lot next to us is not cleared. It's a nice big wild foresty kind of piece of land. And while we were down there building, a feral cat and her kittens came out of the woods, and they were scrounging on whatever they could find. And so long story short, we inherited quite a feral population. And over the 2 years that we've lived there, we've gotten 27 spayed and neutered. And a big tip of the hat to the St. Augustine Humane Society, who allows me to do this in a really economical way. We've gotten 12 adopted, and we're still working on it because it's still not everybody. We've still got work to do. I guess it's, I hadn't thought about this until just now making this connection, but if I wasn't somebody who already loved my pet cats, I don't know that I would have been as heartbroken to see cats out in the wild suffering and struggling.
Right.
And now when there's bad weather, when it's really hot or really cold, or there's a hurricane coming, they're the ones I worry about. They're the ones I want to protect. And so I have an Amazon wish list to try and help me, because we're feeding all of these guys.
That will be in the description box.
And thank you. And it's just about, I know cats aren't a native species around here, and I know there's a lot of big emotions about them and problems with, hunting the native bird species. So that's why we're trying to get everybody spayed and neutered, so we can get a handle on this population, get as many adopted and indoors into homes as possible, and then keep the rest that are still living outside well fed, so they're too chubby to even jump up and get a bird. So
I love it.
My other passion when I'm not out here is taking care of all these cats.
Right.
Thanks for giving me a platform to talk about that too.
Absolutely. So, wow. She's amazing, isn't she, guys? I know now you can see exactly why I was so eager to just share Terran with you. She's just a beautiful soul, and that's what I told her the first night I met her. I was like, "You're just such a beautiful soul. I would love to interview you."
People don't say that to people very often, right? I mean, when somebody says that to you, you listen, right?
I was just like, "Oh my goodness!" But I feel like there's so, it's not that we don't see the negativity. It's not that we don't see these things. I've had seasons in my life when I have worked up close and personal with, some of the ugliness, trying to create a better circumstance. And all of it is important. And I think that there is hope. And I feel like that's one of the big things that Terran brings is she always brings hope. She brings the facts, but she brings hope. And I think that's what's important. We want to not sink into, well, life's just misery and there's nothing we can do. No. There's always something we can do in our own unique way. And so find what it is that's important to you. Find what makes you sparkle, and then let's create not only the life that we want, not only our own personal Bella Vita, but let's make the world a better place. We can create the world we want. Everything is possible. And so I I look forward to your feedback. I look forward to really continuing to follow Taryn and her beautiful adventures. And thank you so much for being with me. Any final words? Anything else? We don't want to leave anything left unsaid, do we?
You know, I think it's interesting. There's been sort of two parallel conversations here. One is about you finding your joy, you know, whatever that is. And, you know, you've got a 52-year-old and a 75-year-old feeling like we found that, but not without little, you know, curves in the road. So whoever you are, it's not too late. But then the other thing, the other parallel conversation, of course, is about this planet. And I guess sort of the final words would just be, it's a beautiful one, and it's the only one we've got. And it feels good, and it's not, it feels good to protect this planet, and it's not, we shouldn't be ashamed, even if the only reason we're protecting it is for purely selfish reasons. It's our planet, right? It makes sense that we want to love it. So love it for whatever reason, but love it and take care of it. She's worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And beautiful souls, feel free to, you may have some questions. You may want to become more involved with some of the things that Taryn is involved with. And my email will be in the link in the description. The link will be in the description, but it's just simply miabellavita.contact@gmail.com. And I will put in the description box Taryn's wish list on Amazon for the kitties so that you can participate with her in that way. And we thank you so much for being with us, and just want you to stay inspired and go create your Bella Vita. Until next time, ciao for now.